I give Snell a lot of credit. There's no doubt, and he may win a Cy Young coming up. I mean, the kid's got great stuff. He's just coming into his own. I think he's 24 years old. I mean, he's a great pitcher, no doubt, and he deserves to be one of the finalists. But I'd have to agree with Bruce. I mean, I think the voting will be closer, but Verlander definitely has it, and Kluber. I agree with Bruce on that too. Kluber shouldn't even be there. I think the third finalist should either be Sale or Bauer. Now Sale didn't pitch
can't
many
give
innings.
It to, yeah,
so,
I can't give it to
yeah.
Snell. That he's not in the conversation. He pitched 150 innings. We can't. Okay, if we're going that way, Walker Buehler's, in the MV, the Cy Young. I can't do that. 150 innings is not enough for me. I mean, we're nitpicking the top end guys here. So when you take a look at it, 214 innings, Corey Kluber had 215, and that's why he's kind of up there, is because he's looked at as a quote-unquote horse. Verlander was 1 inning behind him, but the thing I look at that's a big thing here for me is he had a total of 11 less total batters faced over that 1 inning. So when you nitpick, Corey Kluber shouldn't be there. Verlander kind of creeps up above everybody else. And, I mean, if you're going to have – Corey Kluber pitched in a terrible division. Let's be real. Like, no one else in that division was over 500. And if you're going to put a guy from the Cleveland staff in there, have it be probably the best pitcher that they had this year, and that's Trevor Bauer.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. What about NL MVP? I mean, I'm sorry, NL Cy Young.
I personally think it should be Jacob deGrom. I know he's going to get a lot of flack about the wins because he only had 10. Here's the thing. Scherzer had 18. He had a better team, but when we talk about it, it wasn't – the talent on the team, I believe, on the Nationals was better, but they didn't win many more games as an organization this year. As a big league club, when you take a look at their records, you had the Mets were 3 losses behind Washington this year. Not a lot of people thought that was going to happen. And when you take a look at what Jacob deGrom did, a 1.7 ERA, that's Clayton Kershaw-esque. He had 269 strikeouts. That's amazing. When we're talking about, Scherzer hit 300, but he pitched 220 innings and he had a 2.53 ERA with it. I like the strikeouts. That's amazing. But when you even look deeper, everything about Jacob deGrom, he had a huge season. The K- walk percentage, 26.7. Scherzer at 28.8. So it's comparable right there with it. But I'm giving 1.99 FIP. That's a lower FIP than Scherzer's ERA. He was dominant and wasn't so far behind what Scherzer did well. So Scherzer strikes out a lot of people. Jacob deGrom strikes out a lot of people too. Not at the same level, but he didn't have the same quality of team behind him. So I don't know why he should get punished as much as I believe he's going to get punished. I think it should be Jacob deGrom. I think Scherzer is going to win it because he's the bigger name to a point and has had multiple big seasons in a row, and he just looked at as that horse, as that ace. But when I look deep down, to me, everything Jacob deGrom has done has been a little bit better than what I've got from Max Scherzer this year. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Jacob deGrom. I'd have to give it to him. I get the 10 wins and everything. And this is what's going to give Scherzer a bunch of votes is the win total and also the 300 strikeouts, reaching the 300 strikeout milestone.
Huge.
I get it. It's a big counting stat, and there's no doubt. I just think this is going to be very telling on what these voters are really trending toward as looking at. Because are they looking at the quality of pitcher? Now, where this goes into the argument, I don't want to get too deep into it, but this goes into the argument like MVP Cy Young. Now, MVP is the most valuable player on the team. It's not the best player in the league. Whereas Cy Young is the best pitcher, regardless of team, regardless of anything. And I think that the voters are going more toward that they're going more toward who the best pitcher was. I mean, DeGrom had what? I think 25, 26 quality starts in a row.
It was amazing.
I mean, he was so consistent all year on a bad team. And I still think Scherzer is going to I think DeGrom's going to get it. I think he's going to get it, and it's going to show that these voters are starting to trend toward the underlying stats, like FIP you mentioned, 1.99. I mean, that's ridiculous. To have an under 2 FIP, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. And not only that, too, we have talked about this before, Bruce, the home run, the home runs, and that's what hurt Scherzer, too. I believe he gave up 28 home runs this year, where DeGrom gave up 11. I mean, and they pitched comparable innings. I think DeGrom pitched 215 innings. I think Scherzer put 220. So it was
217
close.
to 220.2. DeGrom had 217. Scherzer had 220.2. So not that big of a difference.
That's negligible. And what we said before, once you get over the 200 plateau, I mean, you threw 200 innings, you're a horse.
You start to look at games started at that point. I mean, Jacob DeGrom has 32 games started. Scherzer has 33 started. So look at it as a game started perspective, where he has 217 innings through 32 starts, and you only got basically 3.2 innings off of one more start from Scherzer. So even there, Jacob DeGrom has been more efficient all year long. 10 home runs to 28. That's mind-boggling.
That's incredible. Giving up 10 home runs nowadays in that many innings, that's just not. That's incredible in itself. I think DeGrom's going to win it. It will be close, but I think DeGrom's going to take it.
Closer than it should be. I think it'll be closer than it should be. DeGrom has ran away from it from like the second month this year. He ran away with this award, I feel like. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than it should be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think DeGrom has such a strong season that he might even get some MVP votes.
He should. That.
And I saw an article online, and I apologize because I can't give the source of it, but they were talking about how when you take a look at total batters faced, and I know Johnny has touched on this previously off air, Jacob DeGrom faced 835 total batters. When you take a look at a guy like Mookie Betts, he had 649 plate appearances. So who really impacted more games there? Jacob DeGrom or let's take a look at Christian Yelich, 651 plate appearances. Which one of them touched, more impactful moments in a game? It's really tough to tell when you take a look at that. 835 total batters faced, and he gave up 10 home runs. He walked 46 guys. All these marks are some of the best in baseball. I don't see how it's close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting way of looking at it.
Right?
What about the AL Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, that's going to be close. You got two Yankees as finalists in Torres and Andujar. That's a tough one, and I think this is going to be close. And I don't think Torres is going to get it. I think it's going to be between Andujar and Ohtani, and I think it's going to go to Ohtani. Overall, I know he didn't pitch a lot this year. I believe he had 51 innings pitched, but he pitched to a 3.1 ERA. He looked good for the most part while he was pitching. Obviously, he had the elbow issue, so he was strictly a DH, second half of the year. But even what he did at bat, I mean, he put up numbers. He put up numbers in his first year close to what Andujar did all year. And what's going to hurt Andujar too is the defense, because he's known and it's looked at that, when we talked about DeGrom in the National League, these underlying stats, the FIP and stuff like that. I think a lot of the voters are starting to look at more of that. And granted, Ohtani is a DH, so he doesn't play the field. I get that. But Andujar is a negative in the field. And I believe that's going to hurt him enough. Yeah, and that's going to hurt him. That's going to hurt him enough. where I think Ohtani's going to win it. And I think overall Ohtani should win it. And I think it's going to be a tough call, but I think Ohtani takes it.
It sucks we didn't get to see a full season of Ohtani without injury.
Yeah.
Because if we would have saw that, I don't even think we're having a conversation. They would be handing him Rookie of the Year pretty easily because we're talking about a potential, depending on how this injury works, man, I'm so scared on this. We're talking about a potential Cy Young pitcher. And then what he has done offensively, I don't know if anybody was ready for that. I mean, a 10% walk rate in today's league is awesome. 285, 361, 564 for his triple slash. A pitcher hitting 285? Are you kidding me? He smokes the ball. Did you see some of his home runs? They were just blasts. He has so much power. His WRC plus is 152. To put that into context, Jose Ramirez, that Jose Ramirez, he's at 146. Juan Soto's at 146. JD Martinez was at 170. Mookie Betts was at 185. So that lets you know we're seeing a huge superstar in the making, depending on this injury with Ohtani. I don't think it will be close, in my opinion. The only thing I think that holds Ohtani back is maybe his injury stuff. I think Johnny touched on the other points with the Yankee players. But being a two-way player in today's day and age and bringing what he does on the mound and at the plate, how can you not give him Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just a freak. It was just amazing, to see somebody hit and pitch. That was
he's so fast too. Like, he's an athlete. Like, you don't see many pitchers that have his speed. He had 10 stolen bases.
Yeah.
Man, please be healthy. Right?
He broke fantasy baseball because they couldn't figure out what to do with him. So I saw, I think in Yahoo Fantasy Baseball, it had to be like you could get
drafting two players or something.
Exactly, like Ohtani the hitter, Ohtani the pitcher. Like they didn't know what to do with him. So yeah,
he grades out to like a top 20 hitter, and he grades out to a Cy Young level pitcher. What do you do with that today? If he's healthy, I mean, I know we're not talking fantasy stuff, but if he's healthy, he should be a top 2 round pick because he does everything for your team. Unless you're in Yahoo, that place is good.
Yeah, then you have to. Then you got 2 different players.
yeah, that's weird. How about the NL Rookie of the Year?
The NL Rookie of the Year. Oh, This one I think is going to be close also, but I think Acuna is going to take it. I think with the major difference between Acuna and Soto, and I'm not knocking Walker Buehler by any means, and he's going to get some votes because he's a pitcher and because he had a great year this year.
He's just a little lower between the other two, I feel like.
Yeah, and Acuna, what's going to help Acuna, and I understand Soto with his plate discipline and everything like that. That was great.
19 years old is going to play a lot too.
Yeah, but Acuna's speed, I think, is going to make a major difference. He had 16 stolen bases. I think Soto only had 4 or 5. I think that's going to be a major difference in the voting. That's going to be kind of the deciding factor almost. They both had about 480 plate appearances, so they played pretty much the same amount of time this year. I believe Acuna is a little better of a fielder also as he grades out. I think that's just going to put him over the edge. The fielding, the slight edge in fielding, and the speed aspect. I mean, Acuna had 26 home runs, 16 stolen bases. He was almost a 20-20 guy, and he's 20 years old, 21 years old. I mean,
he didn't even have 500 plate appearances. It's amazing. Right?
Yeah. I got to give it to Acuna, but Soto will get some votes, and I think Buehler might get a couple. Like I said, only because he's a pitcher, and some people are going to edge toward that, saying that's amazing for a pitcher, because hitters are more likely to come up and perform well immediately, whereas pitchers usually take a year or two to kind of get their command, understands the different hitters in the league. Whereas hitters with natural talent, like an Acuna or a Soto or someone like that, they tend to hit the ground running, so to speak.